Have you ever found yourself hesitating, feeling anxious, or even avoiding discussions with people who have different opinions from yours? It's a common human experience, isn't it? This dread of disagreement, this fear of conflict that makes us shy away from conversations that could potentially challenge our perspectives. I remember once upon a time I found myself at a social gathering. A group of friends were deep in a heated discussion about a hot topic of the day. I could sense the differing opinions, the rising passions. And what did I do? I quietly slipped away to the snack table, avoiding the discussion altogether. I was anxious, unsure, afraid that my opinions might cause a stir, might upset someone, might even lead to conflict. And why is that? Why do we fear disagreement? Why do we avoid discussions that could broaden our perspectives, that could challenge us and help us grow? It's because we're afraid of conflict, of rejection, of feeling inadequate. We worry that our opinions might not stand up to scrutiny, that we might be judged, that we might lose face. But here's the thing. Disagreements, debates, discussions, they're not just about winning or losing. They're not just about proving yourself right or proving someone else wrong. They're about learning, about understanding, about broadening your perspective. And yet, the fear persists. The dread of disagreement lingers, casting a shadow over our conversations, over our relationships, over our growth. It's a fear that can be paralyzing, that can prevent us from voicing our thoughts, from engaging in meaningful dialogue. But what if I told you it's possible to have these conversations without the dread? Let me share a story with you. A few years ago, I found myself in a similar situation. I was in a room full of people whose opinions were starkly different from mine. I was visiting a friend in a distant town, and we found ourselves at a local community meeting. The topic of discussion, a proposed dam that would create jobs but also displace local wildlife. As an avid environmentalist, I opposed the dam, while the majority supported it. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, my palms getting sweaty. I was in the lion's den, or so it felt. But I chose to speak up, not with anger or defiance, but with empathy. I remember I started by acknowledging their perspectives. I said, I understand that jobs are crucial for this town's survival, and I appreciate your concerns. By doing this, I was not agreeing with them, but I was showing that I understood where they were coming from. Next, I shared my perspective, but in a way that connected with their experiences. I spoke about the local birds that we all loved watching in the morning, the deer that frequented our backyards, and how the dam might change that. The room fell silent. Not because they all suddenly agreed with me, but because they felt heard and understood. They saw that I was not an adversary, but someone who cared about the same things they did, albeit from a different angle. And that's the magic of empathy. It creates a bridge where there seems to be a chasm. It encourages dialogue instead of dispute. It allows us to see the person behind the opinion, to acknowledge their fears, their hopes, their struggles. In that room, we didn't reach a consensus, but we started a conversation that was respectful, open, and insightful, a conversation that was possible only because we chose empathy over antagonism. And that's when I realized disagreements don't have to be dreadful. They can be opportunities for growth. Now, you might be wondering, how do we make this happen? How do we turn potential conflicts into opportunities? Let's dive into some practical strategies for engaging in constructive conversations. First, setting the right tone is crucial. Imagine you're in a cricket match. If you start the game with an aggressive stance, your opponents will feel threatened and retaliate likewise. But if you approach with a spirit of friendly competition, the game becomes enjoyable for everyone. Similarly, in conversations, it's important to set a friendly, respectful tone right from the start. Next, asking open-ended questions can be a game changer. They invite the other person to share their thoughts and feelings, making them feel heard. It's like when you're trying to find the best route in a busy Indian market. You wouldn't just tell someone your destination, you'd ask them about their preferred routes, their experiences, wouldn't you? Open-ended questions work in the same way. They open up avenues for deeper understanding and connection. Let's take a real-life example. Suppose you're in a conversation about climate change with a friend who has different viewpoints. Instead of stating your opinion outright, you could ask, "What makes you believe that?" Or could you share the experiences or facts that led you to this conclusion? This approach not only shows respect for their viewpoint, but also provides an opportunity for both of you to learn and grow. Lastly, acknowledging the other person's viewpoint is key. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but simply acknowledging their perspective can diffuse tension. Think about it as when you're sharing samosas. You might prefer the spicy one, while your friend prefers the sweet one. Acknowledging the difference in taste doesn't mean you have to start liking the sweet samosa, but it shows respect for your friend's preference. These strategies, when employed thoughtfully, can turn potentially tense conversations into opportunities for growth and understanding. Just remember the cricket match, the busy market, and the samosas. Remember, it's not about who's right or wrong, but understanding each other better. So, the next time you find yourself in a discussion with differing opinions, remember, breathe, empathize, and converse. Let's take a moment to revisit the 3 main points we discussed today. First, we delved into the dread of disagreement, and we learned that it's perfectly natural to feel anxious about conflicting opinions. But it's essential not to let this fear silence our voices. Next, we explored the power of empathy, a key tool that allows us to understand and appreciate diverse perspectives. It's not about agreeing with everyone, but rather about acknowledging the validity of their experiences. Lastly, we uncovered some practical strategies for constructive conversations. Remember, it's not about winning or losing, but about learning and growing through these conversations. So let's shift our outlook on disagreements and view them as opportunities for growth and understanding. If you found this video helpful, do give it a like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more such insights. Remember, it's okay to disagree. It's all about how we handle it. Until next time, keep the conversation going.